I won't get close to your heartache if you won't open your door. I'm feeling kinda lost when your mind is hiding whatever that is choking your chest. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're holding it back. Maybe you'll make up your mind now I'm here by your side. So let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. Oh, I will hold you in the dark, make you forget about what's wrong. Let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. You won't get closer to me if you won't open your door. If that's what you want, then baby try to believe me when I say that you can tell me anything. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're holding it back. Maybe you'll make up your mind now I'm here by your side. So let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. Oh, I will hold you in the dark, make you forget about what's wrong. Let it all out of me. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're holding it back. Maybe you'll make up your mind now I'm here by your side. Let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. Oh, I will hold you in the dark, make you forget about what's wrong. Let it all out of me. I won't get close to your heartache if you won't open your door. I'm feeling kinda lost when your mind is hiding whatever that is choking your chest. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're holding it back. Maybe you'll make up your mind now I'm here by your side. So let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. Oh, I will hold you in the dark, make you forget about what's wrong. Let it all out of me. Let it all out of me. You won't get closer to me if you won't open your door. If that's what you want, then baby try to believe me when I say that you can tell me anything. I can see it in your eyes that you're shaking 'cause you're holding it back. Maybe you'll make up your mind now I'm here by your side. So let it all out of me. Let it all out of me.
I just miss you more than anything. It's way too quiet in the house. I'm just wasted on the couch, 'cause I don't wanna feel anything. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon. I know the hour's getting late. I shouldn't sit here contemplating. I just can't stop thinking about us. I won't forget a single thing, from drunken nights to Sunday mornings, and how you smile at me. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too